Thank you everybody for joining. This is another Observability Expert Insight series, and this week's subject, or this month's subject, is dashboarding and reporting. Now, I don't want to mislead you. We're going to speak a lot more about dashboarding in this session, and then in the next session, we're going to cover more on the reporting. Dashboarding can get really in-depth and intricate. There's a lot of information around it. It can kind of get confusing. Luckily, we have our expert here, Calvin Miller, who has been a customer and a Cisco customer success engineer for a long time, working with other customers, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And then we also have our good friend and colleague, Bill Harper, here to help field the questions while we're going. And I'm your host, Christopher Bonanno. Let's go ahead and get going. Calvin, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chris. So today's agenda, we're going to cover dashboard overview. We're going to do a deep dive into dashboarding as far as looking at layout considerations and best practices. Then we're going to build that demo dashboard that Chris showed on the previous slide. After we build that dashboard, we're going to do a Q&A, and I'm going to finish up with some closing thoughts. So let's start by getting an understanding of the three dashboards that's in AppDynamics. The first dashboard is the built-in dashboards. These are the out-of-the-box dashboard used for troubleshooting, getting down to the actual issues when issues occur or incidents occur and you want to troubleshoot and dig deep down into your application and see what's going on. You'll probably go from custom dashboard over to the built-in dashboard, or you may even just start at the built-in dashboard and troubleshoot by following the red down to the actual incident. Next, we have the custom dashboard. The custom dashboard provides flexibility, allowing users to create their own dashboards or their own widgets to monitor what they want to view. So this gives you a way to, on a single pane, put what you want to view, what you feel like is your KPIs, your SLAs, your critical items onto a single page so you can actually see what's going on within your application. Next, we have, and this is the dashboard that we're going to mainly focus on during this session. Next is the Dash Studio. Dash Studio is a more modern form of dashboarding. It's a drag and drop tool designed for advanced users. It supports customizable layouts and a lot of integrations. So Dash Studio is something we'll also touch on in the next session. So custom dashboards are essential because they provide key data tailored specifically to the needs of different teams. This customization ensures that every team can quickly access the information more relevant to their role. So let's look at some benefits of the dashboard. Quick view health, which allows teams to immediately understand the status of their system or application. The context of time, it allows you to even go back in time and look at dash items that happened in the past. So you can set up time ranges and look at your application and the performance during certain period. If an incident happened 2 days ago and you want to go back and research it some more, you can actually use the time widget to go back and look at that dashboard for that specific time. Cross application allows teams to monitor multiple applications and see how they interact with each other, to see how they perform at the same time. So if you have two dashboards, you want to see when the response time arises on one application, how it affects the other application. You can do that within these dashboards by bringing those metrics into one single pane. Business data dashboards, they focus on the business data, the BIQ data, to show you the business outcome. So that's very important for like executive level dashboards that we'll talk about later. You really need this information, the analytics type information, so you can slice and dice that data so you can build these nice fancy dashboards for your executives and they can actually see the business outcome at real time. Management overview dashboards allow you to summarize key performance indicators and just see items, how items are working at a glance. using management dashboard as far as the performance. And then you can link these dashboards together. So you may start out off with a high level application dashboard and drill down to what we call the service dashboard, where you're looking at straight into your business transactions. So you can see from a high level something is going wrong, and then you can double click on a icon and link down into another dashboard and see how different items with that incident is reacting. So that's a good thing to use within your dashboard. And then we have the insight into specific technologies. This helps technical teams monitor and troubleshoot particular systems and components effectively. So in summary, custom dashboards empower teams by delivering the right data in the right format, improving decision making and operation efficiency. Next is data sources. So where did this data come from? There's four main data sources within AppDynamics. The first one we're going to discuss is metrics, which comes from the metric browser. The metric browser offers a broad view of performance metrics from application and infrastructure. This will help you visualize trends and detect anomalies. Then we have health rules and using the health rule widget. Health rule monitors the health rules, so you have like an alert setup. If it's triggered, it'll go from red to green to red. So it's an easy visualization on your dashboard when something is going on. Then you have the event data. The event data provide context by capturing significant occurrences like deployment, configuration changes, errors, even the health rule context. So when an event kicks off, you're able to look at that event, or an incident kicks off and you see the performance impact. You're able to look into your events, double click on it, and see the context of the errors that's coming in during the time you see the health rule kick off. Then you have analytics. Analytics uses ADQL. It allows you to bring in information from transactions and log data along with BIQ and massage that data to more advanced metrics to allow you to create those executive metrics along with other performance metrics. You can use analytics to create these queries to pull in that information. So dashboard use a variety of widgets such as graphs, number cards, and timelines, ensuring the information is clear and actionable to the stakeholders. When building dashboard, you want to consider using different widgets. You don't want to just a static dashboards or nothing but metrics. You want to use all the widgets just to make it more appealing to the eye. There's many metrics to choose from in AppDynamics, so let's just go through and take a look at the metrics that's being captured. First, we have application metrics. That's the top level application metric, the overall application. You see we have the load, response time, and error percentage. These allow you to get instant visibility on the overall performance of your application. Then you have business transaction metrics, which contains the same metrics as the application metrics, but it also brings in slow transaction percentage too. And what this is, it measures the crucial user flow within the application. So if you have logins, for instance, could be a business transaction, and you want to know performance of the logins, you can use it. You can measure the performance using these metrics. Next is service metrics, which monitors the same metrics also as the application metrics. It monitors the internal and external endpoints that your application relies on, and make sure they're working at a healthy performance. Next is the backends, which also uses the load, response time, and error count along with errors per minute. These are things like databases, message queues, calls out to APIs. And so if something going wrong with a backend, a database, and it's causing errors in your application, you can monitor that using these metrics. Then you have your tiers and nodes, which is your garbage collection, heap usage, and thread pools. So you can check for those bottlenecks in your thread pool size or look for memory leaks in your heap usage on your dashboard using these metrics. And finally, we have the system metrics, which is the CPU, memory uptime, disk input, output, and network input and output. So this is monitoring more of the infrastructure metrics. So altogether, if we're looking at this, now we have the ability to monitor the four golden signals of monitoring: the latency, traffic, errors, and saturation. This provides an actual insight into application health and performance. So let's dive deeper. When we create a dashboard, it's important to remember that we're just not displaying data. We want to tell a story. And here's some key points that we're going to look at to make sure that we have these dashboards telling the story our stakeholders want them to tell. So let's consider the audience. So we're going to build these dashboards for the audience, the stakeholders. You have different types of stakeholders. You may have an executive, or you may have an operation team, or developers. So you want to make sure that the story question that these stakeholders are asking are being answered. Define the objective of the dashboard. What this dashboard is going to be used for. Whether it's going to be used for a weekly report, diagnosing errors, or just performance checks. You want to make sure you have the context in that dashboard that's being asked for by the stakeholder. Understand that the dashboard is in the bigger picture. So you don't want to keep creating the same dashboard over and over. You want to put these dashboards together so they work together. You may want to start at a high level dashboard and then build down to go deeper into. So you don't want to just keep building dashboards to be building dashboards. In other words, you want every dashboard to fit into that puzzle and have a complete understanding of the big picture. Then you want to consider how you build your dashboard. The dashboard we're going to demo today is a dashboard I used in my previous job. I use that dashboard for every new application team that onboarded an application. The first dashboard they received is the dashboard that we're going to create. That allowed them to start using AppDynamics day one. Just it's a simple dashboard where it contains the information that you need to check the performance of your application, and it's a simple template. So when a new application come in, I just point those metrics over to that new application, and they're ready day one to get some use out of AppDynamics. KPIs in AppDynamics is contextual. Much like driving a motor vehicle, you see the indicators on the dashboard. So if you're driving the motor vehicle, you don't care about people around you. You want to see what's on the dashboard. You don't care about what's in your trunk. You want to understand what you're doing, how your dashboard look as far as, are you speeding, whether you have your seat belt on, do you have gas? So you want these KPIs for your dashboard. It's the same way with AppDynamics. You want to monitor your critical KPIs in your dashboard. So in other words, when I first start, I put it like this: when I first started using AppDynamics, I saw all the cool things I could do with it, and I created these nice, massive dashboards, but a lot of it was a bunch of noise. Sometimes less is more. Being simple is where it's at. So you want to make sure you capture your stakeholder is looking for, not just using widgets just because they're cool, or putting stuff on your dashboard just because they're cool. Of course, you want your dashboards to look good, but the main thing is for them to be productive. So just like with the driver, you have of the vehicle. In this slide right here, we're going to talk about not the driver, but the audience for AppDynamics dashboards. There's 4 different dashboards. You have the executive dashboard, the operation dashboard, the application dashboard, and the service. We're going to start off by looking at an executive dashboard. So this is executive dashboard. It's designed for business leaders and decision makers. Executive dashboards use a lot of traffic lights and KPI type data. So you want to use the most like business outcome type data on your dashboard. As you can see here, you can see the user flows within the dashboard, such as logins, fetch catalog, add to cart. That is like a user journey through checkout. These are the type of items you want to add onto your executive dashboard. So the executive dashboard use a lot of analytics data where you are forming those metrics so they can actually see those high level business outcome type metrics. Next is the operations dashboard. These are essential for IT operations and support teams. Operation dashboard also use the traffic lights and indicates the health of services, including tiers and business transactions. They provide a global overview of the health of the application and infrastructure, making it easy to spot issues across the entire environment. Next is the application dashboard. The application dashboard and the operation dashboard is very similar. The only thing difference is with the application dashboard is it's a step higher than the operations dashboard. When I was creating dashboards for my previous job, I would create an application dashboard which has mostly health indicators on it. And then from those health indicators, you could double click on them and drill down into an operations dashboard that's going to focus mainly on that component that you see the issue on the application dashboard. So they're pretty much the same dashboard, but it's just at a different level. So you see here, you see multiple applications across the top of this dashboard. And now what I would do at my previous job, if something goes wrong, I see the inventory in red, I double click on it, it'll take me to an operations dashboard so I can further troubleshoot. And the same thing with the service dashboard. I look at the application operation and service dashboard as three dashboards that kind of work together, whereas executive dashboard kind of stands out on its own. So once I get to the operations dashboard and I'm still investigating, I may have to go down a little deeper and I want to see information concerning business transactions, tiers, information points, just API calls, just certain things. And also within that, you can see that you have your CPU information in it. So it also based off traffic lights. On these, on the first two, the application operation, I try to keep those single pane, but a service dashboard is usually go have to have scroll because it's pretty much impossible to keep all your business transactions that are important to you on a single pane of glass when you creating a service dashboard. So you're going to have to use scroll for service, but for operations and applications, I try to make those single pane of glass if possible. And also executive dashboard, you would also like to make those a single pane instead of scrolling. So let's look at layouts. When designing a dashboard, layouts is crucial factor in making a clear dashboard, making it accessible and actionable. Here's a few best practice. I always whiteboard or use some kind of tool to draw out my dashboard before building it. That way I can have a full understanding of how I want to design it, and then take it to the stakeholder and make sure that my dashboard is going to answer their question. So you just don't want to just build a dashboard. You want to make sure that you take the information that the stakeholder gives to you and you design that dashboard so it answers that question of the stakeholders. Next, you want to look at the organization and layout of your dashboard with panels, borders, and dividers. So if you can see even on the image, everything is kind of lined up. You have the three widgets across the top that's lined up in in the layout. So everything is kind of divided perfectly. You want to make sure your dashboard is balanced and easy to read. So by doing that, you can use these items such as borders and dividers. And you'll notice when I build a dashboard, I always kind of put borders around different widgets. Layout consideration, looking at this image, you always want to use your baselines. Baselines give you a visual view of what's going on within the widget. So you can automatically tell if something is out of norm or abnormal. So if you look at the top image, the top metric, there's no baseline listed. So all we know is that I say 1210, there's a spike because we're used to seeing multiple users are come in at that time that draws the average response time, or we have a major job run at that time. So we don't have a clue whether that is normal or not. But the one up under it, you see the baseline, which is the dotted line going through. Now you can tell that, hey, that spike is not normal. So you need that visual indicator on your dashboard to be able to tell whether you're having an issue or not, whether something is going on with your application. So I highly recommend using baselines in your metrics. Monitoring events in AppDynamics dashboard is crucial. I mean, it's really important because it gives you a contextual information as far as what's going on with your application. It's going to show you if there's a health rule, and the health rule information as far as what was crossed, what was the threshold, and what was crossed at the time. Or it's going to show you those error messages. So you can get contextual information right there within your dashboard without even having to go inside of the AppDynamics built-in dashboard. You can get it right into your built right into your custom dashboard. That is pretty crucial. Every dashboard I pretty much build, I some kind of way incorporate events onto my dashboard because it's just a quick visual of what's actually going on within your application on the context level. Layout consideration, use custom names for data points. So you look at the left hand, you'll notice that it's kind of cluttered with the long naming convention that AppDynamics give, and the one column for the legend. And on the right hand side, what we did was we shortened that with a custom name, and we also changed the one row to multiple columns to make the widget look less cluttered. You'll notice that you still see the value within the name. The widget actually got bigger because we killed some of the white space with less text. So now you're able to see the actual widget better as you use the pie chart widget in your dashboard. Using links in dashboards allows users to quickly navigate to related information, with enhance the dashboard interactivity and usability. So I could double click on the overall health, and now I'm able to drill down and see a more detailed view of what's going on with my application. This provides deeper insight, making it easier to correlate data and take actions efficiently. This approach improves user experience and connecting key data points directly to the relevant context. Here's some widgets you can use, well, some properties you can use inside of widgets to actually use for text. Let me say that. So if you're looking at here, if we're looking at the bottom image in the format string, you'll see where it shows the $V for value. And then you have the BR for break, which is carriage return. And you have then the word errors. If you look on the right-hand side, you'll see the number with the break and then the arrows below it. They also hit the button to center it. We'll also be doing this in the demo, but this is how you can just make text look better when you're creating your dashboard. The ones I mostly use is entity and value in my dashboard, but you see there's a couple other ones that you can also implement into creating your dashboards as far as the metric name and the roll up of values into a number. So let's look at this real world example. This is an executive dashboard that mimics the website. Notice that the widgets are arranged in columns and rows to create a clear, easy to use, easy to understand layout. We applied the company color scheme consistently throughout the dashboard for brand alignment. At the top, you'll notice that we use KPIs to mimic stock ticker on the actual on the actual dashboard. So we're giving it that look as it is part of the website, or it aligns with the website. Each metric is clearly labeled. So when you're looking at this dashboard, you understand exactly what you're looking at. So if an executive's looking at this, he understands that he's looking at the video plays, streams, ads. So it's a clear indication on every widget of what you're actually looking at. on this dashboard. Now it's time for the demo. And what we're going to do in the demo, I'm going to just show you this dashboard. This is the dashboard that was presented at the beginning of the presentation. It's the operations dashboard actually, because it's focusing on one application. And you notice that it's going to have some built-in links out of the box that you don't even have to add into it. But like I said during the presentation, I used this dashboard when I was a customer for all my new applications being onboarded, so they can actually see what's going on in their application out of the box. They have context information up on the errors and events. So if they have an issue, they can click on the error and it brings up that contextual information and shows them the actual error that's being captured by AppDynamics. As far as business transaction, if you double click on that business transaction, it brings it up in metric browser. So you can take out the business transactions you don't want to see. And I always used to use 95 percentile because we just didn't want one or two calls screwing up the actual average. So now I'm going to go over into the controller and we're going to start building this dashboard. Okay, I'm going to go here, click on dashboard. All right, so let's start by clicking on Create Dashboard. I'm going to name this dashboard EIS Demo. Instead of grid, I like using absolute layout. Absolute layout allows you to move the widgets around on the dashboard freely, where grid makes you lock it. They snap into place, and does not allow you to overlay widgets on top of each other. So I'm gonna change my width. I know the width of this monitor is a good number, is 1600. Let's take a look at advanced. So I'm gonna change the background color. The background color I use is a darker gray for this dashboard. So I'm gonna change the darker gray. You have an auto refresh interval of 2 minutes, and then you have it set for use global time range. This allows all the widgets to stay on the same time range. If you want individual widget time range for each widget, you can use dashboard specific time range that allows you to separate the time range per widget, but we're going to use the recommended global time range. Go click OK, and this gives us our panel to create the dashboard. So we're going to start by adding our first widget. We're going to click on add widget. Our first widget is going to be a time series widget. I like building these dashboards from the bottom up just so I can make sure I can calculate enough space to make sure everything fit into the dashboard. So I'm going to start off with this time series widget. I'm going to name it calls per minute. I'm going to add the calls per minute data into it by going here. I'm going to choose the proper application, which is AD Capital Docker, Ohio. Then I'm going to change this to calls per minute. Select. I'm going to click on advanced. I like making the bottom graphs as area, excuse me. I'm going to change the custom color. For some reason, I'm stuck with in my mind with making the calls per minute orange for some reason. It's just something that I've always done. So I'm gonna change the color to orange, and I'm gonna add a baseline. If you add a baseline, right now that baseline is also going to be orange, but I want a color that's going to stick out on the graph. So I'm gonna add a second color because this would be the second item added to the metric, and I'm gonna add black. And now when I click OK, save rather, it creates the metric and you see the black baseline going through it. Now I'm going to go ahead and do some design changes by making it transparent. I'm going to add the border around it. Like I said, I always like adding border around it. I'm going to make it a light I'm gonna make it a darker gray. And I'm gonna make it thickness as 3. All right. So because you notice that it's still not the background color at the top, I'm gonna change these colors here to the background color. I think I changed it to this one. And if it wasn't covering the whole screen, you'll notice that right now it starts that color and it fades out to white. But I'm just gonna make it the same color all the way through. And I'm also, since it's only one graph reporting in here, I'm gonna turn off the legend for this one and hit save. And now I have my first metric. I'm gonna put it in place here, stretch it out some. And now I'm gonna duplicate it twice. Let's see if we can get all 3 to fit. Now we'll double click on this one and I'm gonna change this one to average response time. So I'm gonna go into the title, change it to average response time. I'm gonna change the metric to point to average response time. I'm gonna click on advanced, and I always make the average response time blue for some reason. So let's remove the orange, add the blue. And now I'm gonna move it up, drag it up to the top because I want it to be the actual metric color, and I want black to be the baseline. I'm gonna hit save, save, and now we have the average response time. And let's do the same for the errors per minute on this one. Just going to change calls to errors. I'm going to go into the actual graph and change it from calls per minute to errors per minute. Select. I like making my errors red, so I'm going to remove the color here. I'm going to change this to red and add it and push it up, drag it up to the top. Hit save, save, and now we have our 3 metrics across the bottom. So now the next metric we're going to create is the 95 percentile metrics. Instead of going all the way through the add widgets in time series, I'm just going to do another duplicate. Okay, here. I'm going to drag it up here, stretch it out. Now I'm going to edit this one. I'm going to change the title name to BT. Then 95th percentile response time. I'm going to go into the metric. I'm going to edit the metric. I'm going to change it from overall to business transaction. Then I'm going to do all business transactions. I'm going to change the metric to 95 percentile response time. I'm going to go down to advanced. I'm going to remove these colors and let it just auto color the lines. I'm going to change it from area to lines just so we can have a different look on the dashboard. Everything is not area, so have a different look. And I'm also going to turn off baseline since there's multiple graphs reporting into this one. I don't want the baseline to make the metric look more cluttered. So I'm just going to turn baselines off. I do want to note this since we're down here with baselines also. You also can add standard deviations bands into your metrics. So if you want to see your above deviation or below deviations standards, you can add those into your metric also. So I'm gonna hit save, and now you see that it changed the color back to the default colors. I'm gonna hit save again, and now I'm gonna stretch this back out. For some reason, it fell back to the original size. And now we have our 95 percentile metric. Let's change this down to 15 minutes maybe. There we go. So we're well on our way to creating this dashboard. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the pie chart to show the the calls by business transactions. So let's add widget. We're going to go to pie chart. We're going to name this one calls by BTs. Let's add the data. We're going to do business transactions. We're going to do all business transactions. Now we're going to pick the metric calls per minute, hit select, save. We're going to go here, we're going to make it transparent. Let's see. Okay. We're going to make it transparent. So right now we see that this name is too long. I don't like it. It's kind of show a little clutter on the screen. So we're going to change that using those properties that we talked about during the presentation. I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to go to advanced, and I'm going to say auto generate name and click on custom name. Right here, it tells you which variables you can use to, as far as creating a custom name. You can use regular text or you can use these variables too. You don't have to use them. But what I'm going to use is entity. So I'm going to $ curly bracket E close curly bracket. And I see that now the name is shorter, and it's just make the widget look cleaner, less clutter. After we do this, we're gonna go to legend. The legend showing one column. Let's change that to 4 columns just to clean it up even more. I think this widget looked pretty good. So let's go ahead and save it. Transparent. Before we save it, let's put a border around it. So let's go here. We're gonna make the border a darker gray. We're gonna change the thickness to 3 and hit save. And now I can drag this over here and size it. And now the bottom portion of our dashboard is complete. All we have to do is finish with the top portion by adding in the error events. So let's add widget. Let's go into health and events and do an event list. We're gonna do this for the application, and it's AD Capital Docker, Ohio. Let's go ahead and add a title in too before we forget. Error events. And now we can go here. We can tell it right now it's just showing health rules and anomalies, but I'm going to click on errors and apply. Done. And I'm not going to make this one transparent. On these, I usually change the background color. So let's change the background color to a gray and hit save. And now we can move this widget over here and size it up. All right. The last thing we have left is, well, one of the last thing is the summary box across the top, and then we also need to add the values inside of these metrics at the bottom. So for the summary metrics across the top, the first thing we want to do is just add a block to the border to put them in. So I'm just going to go other widgets, label. I'm going to remove the label, go to design. I'm gonna make it transparent, and then I'm going to add a border. Go change the border thickness to 3. Hit save, and now I can stretch this out. So now we have the box to put our summary metrics in. We're going to start off by putting in the health rules for the nodes. So I'm going to click add. I'm going to go back to health and events, do a health status. I'm going to type nodes here. I'm going to select nodes. Then I'm going to select application. I'm going to pick the application AD capital Docker Ohio. I'm going to do all nodes. So I'm just going to click apply. Done. You see that it shows me the bar, but it also shows me a list. You can have these in different formats. You can do a pie. This pie, you're allowed to do ratios. So if I was to do ratio, I could do this. I can put the ratio number here, and now I open it up, and I can stick a number inside of the white portion of the number. But I'm just going to leave it as pie for now. You could use bar, is actually the one I'm going to use when I add it to the dashboard. I just want to show you the ones you can use. You can use bar and list, or you can just use list. And the good thing about list and bar and list, you can also add this search bar. So you can search for the actual items you're looking for. But like I said, we're going to use bar, and we're going to hit save. Let's go back into it and go back into design and make it transparent and hit save. And now we can pull it over, stretch it out some. And now we have our node health rule check on our dashboard. I'm going to duplicate this twice. And I'm going to double click it. I'm going to change this one to tiers, to monitor our tiers. We're going to go into here, across the top, change it to tiers, apply, done, save. And let's do the last one for business transactions. Change it here. Save. And you can choose multiple items by holding down clicking and holding down shift, and then right click and hit align. So I'm gonna align to the left just to make sure everything is straight. Now we got our node tiers and business transaction health rules showing up within our summary section of our dashboard. The next thing we're going to add is we're going to add some values. We're going to add total errors and total calls into the summary. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to click on metric data, metric value. I'm going to click select. I'm leave the title blank because I'm going to format it using the string. So I'm going to go to the capital Ohio data. We want to go to the application, the overall application. And now we're going to change this to calls per minute. Hit select, save, and we see the actual total calls per minute. Oops, I'm sorry. We need to change this value from this value to sum because we want the total. So we want them summed up for the period of time. So there's the sum, and now we're going to use the format string like we did in the showed in the presentation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say $ curly bracket value, V for value. Then I'm going to use a break. And I'm going to type total calls. And now I'm going to hit this to center it. Save. Forgot to do one thing. This is a thing that I often have to do after I hit save. I have to go back and hit transparent, but we just want it to show the same background. And now here, I can, oops, I can drag this here. And we're going to duplicate. Go push it up a little bit and see if we can duplicate it here. It's down some. And now we're going to go back into it. We're going to change this from total calls to errors. We're going to change this to errors per minute. Select, save, save. And now we have both the total calls and total errors showing up in our summary part of our dashboard. Since we're working with the metric values, let's just go ahead and duplicate total calls and drag it down to here on top of this one. And then we're going to change this to show the actual average call. So we're going to go back here and we're going to change this back to value. Hit save. I'm going to change this to, I'm going to take the total out and just call it calls. I want to change the color to white since it's on a dark background. And hit save. I'm going to stretch, let's take that break out too. I'm going to take the break out. So let's go here, hit save now, and we see that 18 calls during that period. Now we can duplicate twice since we got the design set up like we want it. Let's go put it here, duplicate, put one here, double click, and we're going to change this to average response time. We're going to change the calls to the word calls right here to response time. Click on save. And now we have that metric here. I'm just going to leave it like this one. Let's go to errors. Let's do the same thing. Change it to errors here. Change the metric to errors per minute. Save, save, and now we have our errors per minute. Next, we're going to add the overall application health widget. So I'm going to click add, go to health widget, health status. I'm not going to use a title. I'm just going to put in the application, the specified applications, and choose our application that we want to monitor. Apply, done, and now I'm going to change it from a bar and list to pie. I'm going to make it transparent. Hit save, and move here. Let's move this one back up here. And the last thing we have to do is add the title. So we're going to just add a widget, other widgets, labels. We're going to name it AD capital. And we're going to make this bold. So I'm going to put strong in front of it. I'm going to change the design to transparent. And I'm going to make the font, let's try 48. And let's make it blue. Save. Let's move it here, stretch it out, stretch it down. And that's pretty much creating the dashboard that was showed at the beginning of the presentation. I'm going to take it out of edit mode, and I'm just going to show you straight after creating this dashboard the links that automatically built into it. So for instance, we see error messages come in. Now you have a new application team that never use AppD, and you have the events showing up on the dashboard. They look at the dashboard and they'll have concerns about these error message. They can easily just double click on the error message and it brings up the information of the error. You have the business transactions here. We see some business transactions in yellow in caution state, and we want to know which business transactions in caution state. We could double click on it. It shows us those business transactions. I can double click again, and it'll take me out of this dashboard into AppDynamics to the credit check dashboard, so you can investigate why it's in a caution state. If you're looking at 95 percentile or any of the graphs and you want to just take have a bigger graph to look at, you could double click and then it'll open up this graph in the metric browser. That way you can remove items you don't want to see and just show business transactions you want to see along with the baseline. So this is pretty much how you create this dashboard, and you also can double click on the application alert that we created here, and it takes you to the main application dashboard, built-in dashboard within AppDynamics. I want to mention that too. But this is basically the way we created. You create this dashboard. I think this dashboard is a nice template to use for new applications, especially with users with not a lot of app dynamic experience, because it gives them a lot of information on a single pane, and it pretty much explains the performance of that application up front. So this is pretty much the end of the demo. What we're going to do now is we're going to open this up for Q&A.
But we're going to move on to the next part. I think we have some closing thoughts by Calvin to leave you on, and then we'll pick it back up on talking to you guys about next time.
Okay, as we wrap this up, I just want to mention a few things. Think about this: less is more. Sometimes overkill is confusing, so less can be more impactful. We're looking at, when we build dashboards, to be impactful. You want to build to the audience. You want to make sure that you're showing the context that they're interested in, telling their story, answering their questions. And then when you're building these dashboards, to just make them look good by utilizing multiple widgets. You don't want to just use time series widgets. You want to use health widgets. You just want to use different widgets. And these widgets can come in different flavors. I use time series as a line, but an area, but you also can use columns. You want to make sure that your dashboard is well labeled, where everything is understandable to the actual user. So if someone who never used the dashboard come in, bring it up, they should know what those metrics mean. Have a clear label of what the meaning of those dashboard. You definitely want to use baseline, thresholds, and events on dashboards, because you have to have a dashboard that when they look at it, they can tell when something is not normal. Not using baseline thresholds, you just looking at numbers coming across the graph. You don't know whether something's acting within range or not. So using those baselines and thresholds really help you at a glance figure out whether something is going wrong. And then events give you that contextual information you need to start troubleshooting. You may be able to figure out the issue, the root cause, just by clicking on the error that's showing up in events and seeing the error message. So those are my closeout thoughts for this presentation. I hope that you attend next session on Thursday of next week, where we're going to dive deeper into Dash Studio reports, stuff that is a little bit more advanced than this dashboard session here. So Chris, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Very good. Thank you, Calvin. Well, we're coming to an end, and before we go, I just wanted to, tell you guys, this was an enablement session that allows you to follow along. We got a lot of feedback where you guys want more follow along type of demonstrations, not just showing these theories and super long presentations that don't actually leave you with anything that you can tangibly hold and do and follow along with. So we've taken that feedback. We've taken the feedback on the topics. Anything you guys would have to give us about today's session, please feel free. Or if you have any questions that maybe snuck into your head while we were closing out, please just throw that into your chat, and we'll still help you out. But beyond that, what's the next steps? Are you guys, going to maybe get certified in any of Cisco products, including Splunk AppDynamics? If so, if you're interested, go check out the self-paced learning as well instructor-led courses on Cisco U. Start getting certified, build that resume, and then always look for the content that we also help to create to enable you guys. We want you guys to be successful with the product, with Splunk AppDynamics. Find successes in using it, maintaining your IT assets, what's most critical for your application and your company that you're working for, and trying to make sure that everything's running right for. And again, a lot of this session, as well all of the others, will be recorded and put on there. So if you guys have chance or want to rewatch this or rewatch a certain part, go ahead and check that out. And then we also have, obviously the dashboard that we built with you today. Definitely check that out. I mean, why not get a freebie, something that you can just quickly import and export? There's instructions on the lab or on the repo itself. And then also, by all means, reach out to your account team, reach out to us, either with call a consultant or any means that you could to, if you need to engage with your customer success engineer, we're here to help. And without taking up too much more of your time, just thank you for all of your help and in making this a success, not only by attending, but by providing feedback, by showing us that you guys come out to our YouTube page, like and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you guys next Thursday for the second session of dashboarding. And like Kelvin said, we're going to get more into the dashboarding and reporting that we didn't get to today. So thank you and have a great week.